For this tutorial, I've decided to use Loops and Threads Charisma. There's 109 yards and you're going to need 2 of these. This is the color Mist, and it is a size 5 bulky weight yarn. I'm also going to be using a 6.5 millimeter hook, and you're going to need a tape measure especially. You're going to need 2 of these. Now we will begin with foundation single crochet. So I'm going to chain 1, and going back into that chain, I'm going to insert my hook and draw up a loop. Now we're going to make our chain and our single crochet simultaneously. So the first thing I did there was make my chain. Now I'm going to make my single crochet there. So there's my chain and there's my single crochet. I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to insert my hook into the chain that I just made. I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop. And now I'm going to make my chain stitch. And now I'm going to finish off with my single crochet. So that's just 2 stitches there. Now I'm going to do foundation half double crochet. So you basically just yarn over first. Insert your hook into that chain stitch and pull up a loop. You have 3 loops. Go through just the first one. Now finish off your half double crochet by going through all 3 loops. I'm going to show you a few more times. Yarn over, insert your hook into the chain stitch, pull up a loop, chain 1, yarn over, go through all 3 loops. So the only difference between the foundation single crochet and the foundation half double crochet is with the foundation half double, you yarn over before you insert your hook. So here's how your stitches would normally look. Here's the top of the stitches at the top, and there's the chain stitches at the bottom. It creates more of a vertical piece as you go along. Now you're going to continue this process until you have 20 foundation half double crochet stitches. So just continue doing that until you have a total of 20 foundation half double crochet. And I will meet you back here. So here I have 22 stitches total. I'm going to finish off by making 5 foundation single crochet. So we're going back to making foundation single crochet, and you're going to make 5 of them. So we started off with 2 foundation single crochet, then we made our 20 foundation half double crochet, and now we're finishing off the strip by making 5 foundation single crochet. You should have a total of 27 stitches. Now we're going to start row 2, so you're going to chain 1 and turn. In those 5 single crochet we just made, we're going to work through the back loops right here. So you're going to loosely, and I do mean loosely, slip stitch into those stitches, into those first 5 stitches. And the reason I say loosely is because you're going to have to work back into them throughout this entire pattern. You don't want to be tight. Now that you've got those first 5 singles out of the way, we're going to work on these foundation half doubles, and you're going to work in the 3rd loop of every half double, and I'll show you what that is. If you're looking at the half double, here is the back loop, here is the front loop, and just parallel to that front loop and below it is the 3rd loop. So it runs parallel with the front loop, and it should always be facing you. So we're going to be working through those loops there for all 20 stitches, and you're just going to half double crochet into those 3rd loops for all 20 of the half doubles. Nothing fancy, just your hook placement. here's our last half double crochet third loop. And now we're back to those 2 single crochets we started with. We are also going to work in the back loops here. And you're going to loosely slip stitch into those last 2 stitches. Because again, we're going to be working back into them, so make sure they're loose. All right, now for row 3. We're going to chain 1 and turn. This is what your piece should look like. We are going to be working in the back loops only of those first 2 stitches again. Essentially, if it's a slip stitch, you're going to work another slip stitch into the back loop only throughout this entire pattern. Now for these half double crochet, we're going to work into the third loop again. This is the back loop, this is the front loop, this is the third loop. Right here. So it should always be facing you. So always going through the third loop facing you, make a half double crochet in each stitch across of the half doubles. So you should have 20 half double crochet again. So here's our last half double. Now we're at those 5 slip stitches again. If you come to any slip stitches, you're essentially just going to loosely slip stitch in the back loop only. So loosely slip stitch in the back loop only of the last 5 stitches. So this is what your piece should be looking like so far. It's really important that you get it to measure this length, otherwise it'll be way too big. So it should measure between 9.5 and 10 inches in length. And these 5 slip stitches are the hat band down here where around your head. And then these 2 slip stitches will be the area of the crown. We're going to make it like a panel. So you're just going to repeat rows 2 through 3 until your panel measures about 22.5 to 23 inches. So just repeat rows 2 through 3. I'm showing you here. You're going to just continue doing that until it measures between 22 and 23 inches around your head. So here I have my panel. It's measuring about about 23 inches or about 58.5 centimeters. And you should end on a row 3 repeat. So here's the top and here's the bottom. And as you can see, I ended at the bottom. So it's a row 3 repeat. Now you definitely want to end at the bottom because we're going to join it without cutting our yarn. So we're not sewing it, we're going to be slip stitching it. So you're going to chain 1 and turn. And now you're going to bring both of the ends together. Because like I said, we're going to be joining with slip stitches. So line up your stitches of your last row and your first row of your panel. And we're going to be working across those 2 rows. So for these slip stitches here at the bottom, you're going to be working through the inner loops. So just the loops that are together. So I'm going to be making my slip stitches through those inner loops to bring them together. So again, you should have 5. So we're going to make 5 slip stitches through those inner loops on those slip stitches there. Again, you should be at the area of the hat band. Once you have those 5 slip stitches there, we're going to be working to bring the foundation half double crochet row and our last row together. So there's that back loop, there's that front loop, and there's that third loop. We're only going to be working through the third loops of our last row. Okay, so only through this loop. And then on the very first row, which is our foundation row, we're going to be working through both loops of the chain stitches. So you're actually going to be inserting your hook through the third loop of our last row and both loops of our first row. So you see me doing that right here. So you're going to slip stitch through those loops that I just indicated. So through the third loop and then through both loops. Through the third loop and then through both loops. Doing it this way will make it look virtually seamless. You will be able to see your seam on this hat if you look closely, but to someone who doesn't crochet, they're not going to know. They're not going to be able to tell. I would say only a trained eye would be able to tell where the seam is. So I'm just doing that through all 20 half double crochet until I get to the last 2 stitches. So here I am at the last 2 stitches, and just like we did on the band, we're going to join those 2 inner loops together. So I'm just going to slip stitch like I did at the band through the inner loops of those last 2 stitches. Now, this is what your piece should look like. As you can see, it looks pretty similar to the rest of the hat. It's not very obvious, so I'm not going to be turning the hat inside out. Now we're going to close up our top of our crown, so we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn so that we're working along the edges of the rows. So we're going to be working this way, all the way around here. So now we're going to single crochet 2 together over the first 2 rows. And we're basically just decreasing over every 2 rows. You're just going to continue to do that all the way around. This is going to further bring the top together. So you're just going to continue doing that all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. So here I am at the end. I'm going to slip stitch into the first single crochet I made, and we're just going to repeat that last round. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet 2 together over the next 2 stitches. So you're just going to decrease all the way around, just like we did in the last round. So just do that all the way around and I'll meet you there. So we're getting close to being done. We're going to slip stitch into our first stitch and we're going to chain 1. We're going to single crochet in the first stitch of the round, and then we're just going to skip the next stitch. And we're going to single crochet in that next stitch. We're just going to repeat that around. We're going to skip a stitch, make a single crochet in the next stitch. Skip a stitch, make a single crochet in the next stitch. And now here I'm at the end. I'm going to skip the last stitch and I'm going to slip stitch into my first single crochet. So now we're going to fasten off, leaving ourselves a length of tail because we're going to cinch the top shut with a few whip stitches. So grab your yarn needle and thread your tail onto your yarn needle, and then going through just the front loops of the last round, we're going to cinch this shut. Now I'm just going to cinch it shut. And that's what it should look like. We're going to take your tail inside and then knot it off and weave in the tails, and I'll meet you back. So this is what your hat should look like. If you flatten it like a pancake, I'm going to show you what it measures. It should measure about 10.5 to 11 inches, or about 27 centimeters. And you are done. If you find my written pattern, it also includes the worsted weight version in child sizes. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial today. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching.